Sight, smell, thought, taste of food will stimulate your vagus nerve to secrete acetylcholine into the pancreas. Acetylcholine will then cause your acina cells in your pancreas to secrete enzymes, which will be stored in your pancreatic ducts. The vagus nerve will also send a signal to your stomach to secrete gastrin and histamine, as well as acetylcholine, to prepare for the incoming food. Once you've eaten, the chyme in your stomach will cause your stomach to stretch and your pH to be decreased, which will enhance the amount of gastrin and histamine that are secreted from your enteroendocrine cells, as well as the amount of acetylcholine that's secreted. These things will cause parietal cells to create hydrochloric acid and intrinsic factor. Intrinsic factor is what will be used to absorb your vitamin B. And hydrochloric acid will do two things. It will activate your lingual lipase, which along with gastric lipase will be 10 to 15% of your lipid digestion. And then it will also activate your pepsin, which will break down your protein. Your gastrin that's secreted in the stomach will activate your chief cells. Your chief cells will then secrete gastric lipase, which along with lingual lipase will also aid in lipid digestion. And your chief cells will also secrete pepsinogen, which will be turned into pepsin, and your hydrochloric acid will then activate it and help to break down proteins. Once the food has moved through your stomach into your duodenum, things begin to change a little bit. The peptides and the amino acids and the stretch of the duodenum will enhance the amount of gastrin and histamine released at first. But after a bit more digestion happens, the presence of acid causing your pH in your duodenum to be below a 2, as well as semi-digestive fats, will cause your inhibition of your vagal nuclei, which is going to reduce your vagal stimulation of the stomach. So the brain will then be done sending messages to the stomach, causing it to secrete gastrin and histamine. You then have the chyme in your duodenum will stimulate enteroendocrine cells in your duodenum to release cholecystokinin, or CCK. The CCK is going to simultaneously do three things. It's going to stimulate your acinar cells, which we heard about earlier, to secrete more enzyme to be stored in the pancreatic ducts. It's also going to cause contractions of the gallbladder and relaxation of the hepatopancreatic sphincter. The secretin that was secreted into your duodenum is going to cause the liver and the pancreas to secrete an abundance of sodium bicarbonate into the bile. So the contraction of your gallbladder is going to cause bile along with sodium bicarbonate to be put into your pancreas. And the secretin is going to cause the bile and the enzymes that have been stored up in your pancreas all to be flushed into your duodenum. This is going to do two things when it arrives in your duodenum. It's going to help with your pH balance because it's very acidic at this point, so the sodium bicarbonate is going to come into your duodenum and it's going to increase your pH. At the same time, several different enzymes, including pancreatic amylase, which breaks down starches, pancreatic lipase, which breaks down fat, ribonuclease, which breaks down RNA, and deoxyribonuclease, they are all going to be released into the duodenum and start to break down their respective nutrients. You're also going to have The zymogens, which are granules found in your acinar cells, are going to secrete trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen, and procarboxypeptidase, which are going to be broken down into trypsin, chymotrypsin, and procarboxypeptide. And they are going to digest the protein in your duodenum as well. It's important to know what types of cells are found in your duodenum. It's called your brush border. And so we have different brush border cells found over here. These here are going to be known as your absorptive cells or your enterocytes. They're going to be the ones to secrete your cholecystokinin and your secretin. And then you're going to have your goblet cells, which are going to secrete the mucus that helps to move things through your duodenum. You're also going to have your Paneth cells. You can tell they're Paneth cells by the amount of granules in them. And they are going to secrete lysozymes, phospholipase, and defensins. These things will help to resist against bacteria or infection in your mucosa. You're also going to have something at the base of your villi, this would be your villi, called your intestinal crypts. And these are important because they also help with your pH balance. They're going to secrete 1 to 2 liters of intestinal juice a day. And this juice is a pH of 7.4 to 7.8. So it's going to help to increase your pH balance here in the duodenum. Another important thing to know is that when your stomach is empty and it lacks food, your parietal cells in the fundus of your stomach are going to stimulate the hypothalamus to secrete growth hormone releasing hormone, which is going to generate a feeling of hunger. So that is, after time, when you start to feel that hunger, that is a message being sent from your hypothalamus saying that your stomach is empty. So that would be at the beginning, before your meal. And at the end of the meal, when your food has moved down through your duodenum, you're going to have in the ileum of your small intestine, you're going to release something called peptide YY, which is going to in turn send a message to your hypothalamus again, which is going to give you that feeling of fullness. Peptide YY is going to be the opposite of, what is it? What's the other one? Sorry.
I wasn't listening.
The opposite of PYY.
NPY?
Yes, NPY. And then, so I think that is the end of our chart here. Oh, one more thing to add. Bile salts is going to be another cause of secretion of bile. And bile salts are going to be one thing that will break down your lipids. So you're going to have 10 to 15% of lipid digestion happening in your stomach, and the rest is going to happen via the bile and bile salts that enters into your duodenum. And I think that is all.